Hi cross stitch creatives and other sewing enthusiasts. I'm making another video. I did 3 on the weekend for my Orange Marilyn, and then I was like, oh, what am I doing? No one's going to watch this stuff. And then I looked and people have been watching it. I was so excited, and someone commented. So, hi. This is Orange Marilyn. So it's well underway. Now, if you remember from my last video, I was off to grab a heap of colours to take to the sports carnival. And then what happened? Normally, I recommend for beginners to start cross-stitching right in the middle of the design. So why didn't I do that? Because I forgot to take the colours that I need for the centre of the design when I went to start stitching it at the carnival. But I did happen to have the orange colour, so I stitched that first. A couple of things you might notice here is I've got these pins. What's that about? I've used that as a measuring guide. I often put long pins in every 10 rows or every 10 columns if I've got a full block of colour like that, because normally I would not stitch that full block of colour first because it's very, very prone to errors. And because I was at the carnival, I couldn't really take a video to show you my little technique for how I get around that. I'm not going to explain it now because you really need to see it. But you'll see that I'm a person that likes to stitch kind of mostly one colour at a time. If you're new, that's probably the easiest way to get started, but there are other techniques which I'll explore in later videos. So this is just a quick little video mainly about why do I like to start in the center. The reason I like to start in the center is if you start in the center and you've measured out enough fabric before you get started, it's pretty foolproof. But if you don't, and you suddenly decide and you miscalculate where you put your first stitch because you started up in the corner, you can end up with not enough space to finish your design on one side and way too much space on the other. So I've got some examples of those from previous unfinished designs. So this is a little test pattern I was doing, but I didn't bother starting from the center, and you can see that this design was going to end up quite wide. So number one, I haven't cut enough fabric, and secondly, I started too far over this side, and I'm too far in to bother redoing it. Anyway, live and learn. Here's another one that's slightly more painful. This is one of my designs. You can't, I'm sorry that it's reversed, but it actually, the finished design said love, understanding, awareness, peace, and then it had all words like compassion, and you know, it's just a nice stitching experience and something beautiful to hang up. So the problem here is that the design is a rectangular design, and I orientated incorrectly when I started. I orientated it portrait, and it's meant to be landscape. So it's a real shame. So what I'm thinking of doing, or what I was thinking of doing, was just cutting out the other letters, but then I stupidly spilt coffee all over it, and because it's not a full coverage, there's not a lot I can do with the coffee. So if you're new to stitching, keep your coffee away from your projects, or you'll end up with something like this. So back to Orange Marilyn. Well, I'm really enjoying stitching this actually. Now that I've got her silhouette done, it's actually quite easy to orientate the rest of the stitches. So I'm going to keep going with this, and I'll give you another update in a few days. One day I'm going to put it in the shop. If you've been online and seen my shop, thank you for having a look. It's quite new, and I'm going to be putting up quite a few videos about what's in the shop, my design process, for each and every pattern, because I'm in this for the long haul. I've been cross-stitching for a long time, and this is something that I plan on doing for the rest of my life. And let's face it, cross-stitching cross-stitching isn't like a billion-dollar money-making scheme or a cash cow. It's just a nice way of getting a little bit back for your designs. So thanks for watching. Oh, and before I go, to my very nice subscriber, I think it was Exy, who asked, am I working on more than one project at a time? Yes, I always have like multiple projects on the go. So this is nice because it's a it's quite a small design. It'll only take me a week or so. It's got 2,600 stitches, so you could stitch that in a few days if you were really keen, maybe 4. I also like to have something on the go at all times that I don't need a pattern. So I'm in some sort of a geometric design. I'll just quickly show you a few that I've just finished recently, where once you get going, you don't really need a pattern, and you can just stitch in front of the TV without too much trouble. So I made these little hanging cards that I'm going to use as Christmas decorations next year. So they just slide inside little cards, and they were also samples because I like to make my own home decor, and I might use these on cushions, and I want to just like stitch them out and see what they look like. So they're like little sample cards, but then I'm going to hang them on a piece of string next Christmas. So that's one I just finished. And then I also like to have a big whopper going. So this is not one that I designed myself. This is something I bought from DMC Philippines 5 years ago, and this 2025 is the year of finishing stuff. So I'll just quickly get it out of the cupboard. Hello, Sunny, my little beloved cat. Here we go. This is a big full coverage. You can see that I'm not very far along, but I always like to have a big project as well. And I try to discipline myself to do, a couple of stitches, at least a few stitches every day or every other day. Oh, look, there's my little cat, Sunny. Jack Canfield, this American success coach, has this great saying about the rule of 5. So if you do 5 things every day on a project, it will always get finished because you're always doing something. So I've applied that to cross stitch. If you do at least 5 stitches on your cross stitch every day, eventually it will get finished. So I'll see you in a few days with an update on Orange Marilyn. Thanks for watching, and please excuse my messy cabinet, but if you watch the first video, you will know that me and the cats and my son live here in a very small apartment, and I cross stitch and work out of my bedroom. Bye bye, and have a great day, and please do some cross stitching today.